Hello, and welcome to the podcast that discusses all things gaming. Coming to you from the home of Indie PopCon, GenCon, and the gaming capital of the world, we are the Established Facts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 202 of The Established Facts. I hope you've all been listening for the last 201 episodes, because this is your quiz. Not really. I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm just joking. Okay.
Everybody at the table went,
like,
we're about to fail.
What?
Exactly. I'm like, just give me
I should have been taking notes for the last 10 years.
Yeah, no.
All right. Well,
No.
I know that I am really excited about this conversation. I believe that several of us at this table are really excited about this conversation, but it is our annual pre-GenCon prep, basically. Our conversation about what we're looking forward to at GenCon this year, and, just kind of what we expect, what our maybe suggestions for newcomers, which I do have a couple of newcomers that are coming this year to GenCon for the first time. It'll be really fun for them. We're going to get into a little bit of talking about some major con life, but before we do that, let's go ahead and go around the table, starting to my left, and we'll introduce everyone here.
This is Dr. Deb.
This is Josh.
This is Princess Katie.
This is Jake.
And, of course, this is your host, Big Don. And as you heard, we have a new voice on the microphones. Jake, why don't you give us a little information about who you are and why we need to continue to hang out with you?
He just wandered in. And
That's
he just
it.
said, I want to be on a podcast.
We found a stray gamer walking down the road with a Switch in his hand.
So I'm actually Princess Katie's fiance.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
The future Prince Katie.
He's the taller and better looking half of our couple, Cake. Katie and
Cake.
Jake.
That's
we are
right.
Cake.
That's right. We are Cake. All right. So, let's go ahead and go around the table and talk about how, obviously, we've all got our, I hope we, at least at this table, all have our passes. I heard about some fun stuff that happened with Josh and Deb the other day with the mail system. But we've all got our passes, and we're all ready and raring to go. What was your guys' experience like with event planning and ticket purchasing and stuff like that this year?
Ours would have been great.
So it wasn't great.
Except it sucked.
Except it sucked.
Well, shout out to Lance, who's not here, for being willing to get and do the kind of group thing I've been doing the last few years, but I had to serve at church, and it was a little harder for me to take care of it, so Lance was willing to. But I managed to get enough of a break that I could go on and add a few events and then hit the button. And when I hit the button, I got number 5.
Nice.
A single digit.
That may
number
never
5.
happen again in his lifetime.
And
so just, it's been
Lance
recorded.
got 5,200 plus. Mm-hmm. So by the time I got around to Lance, we didn't get any of the special. We didn't get most of what he had on his list to do. So it would have been, I got everything I was going to, including breakfast anytime, 7 o'clock Thursday night, ICC 111 and 12. See what I did there?
I did.
Anyways,
I did. I was going to comment on it.
Other than that, it sucked.
Ours was stressful.
Stressful?
We got in extremely quick, and it was terrifying.
Oh, goodness.
Because of how quickly we got in, and then I was trying to delete duplicates out of our
cart.
Because we had the same event 3 times because I put it
Just
in
in
there a bunch
case.
of times. Yeah, because I figured we wouldn't get in as fast as we got in.
That's what you and Lance should have done.
I didn't know you could do that.
Apparently they did.
Yeah, not the same event multiple times, multiple.
Like the same event that's on Friday and Saturday and Sunday.
Exactly. Yeah, one of them was Enormous Tower of Madness. We put all 3 of those in there in case we got one of them.
Right.
We got 2 of them, and then I had to delete one. And then by the time I got back, a bunch of stuff had deleted out of our cart because of
You waited too long.
it was time
2 hours.
like conflicts. Conflicts is the word I'm looking for. There was conflicts of time, and so then like it was horribly stressful. You can ask Jake. It was great. And it ended up with me just sobbing in our computer room.
A lot of conversations today with you and I have brought up Katie sobbing.
Because this year has been the worst year of my life because I've been planning this stupid wedding.
There's a court.
This year has been a lot of sobbing, and I can't wait for it to be over.
There's a courthouse downtown. Just a reminder.
I wanted that.
So your parents wouldn't let you, or his parents wouldn't let you?
Not that they wouldn't let us, but I let my parents talk me into an actual wedding. And
They should have planned it all, and then you would have been doing great, and they can cry and sob over it.
It's a conversation for another day.
Right, so I got all my events.
Don had a great time.
That's one.
I did.
So,
I didn't have very many, so that helped.
Yes.
And most of the ones that I did outside of, I'm a big Critical Role fan. So the only event I was more concerned about any others was they do a Talks Machina event on Saturday of GenCon that reviews the live episode that they record on Friday night of GenCon. They don't do it at GenCon. It is an event it's not necessarily even a sponsored event by GenCon. It's a sponsored event by Crit Role and the people who run the Critical Role Twitch stream and things like that. But the last, I think, 4 years, they've done a live show at the Murat, and it sells out every year in like 30 minutes, and it's insane. My friends and I have tried to get tickets to it the last 2 years, and it has been almost nay impossible, really, to do it. But I was really excited to get tickets for the Talks Machina panel that they're doing on Saturday, and that was my number one event. And then luckily I got the other events that I had registered for at the time, and then have since picked up a couple of other events, stuff like that. So my event, again, I didn't have very many, and I was okay with if I didn't get an event in some way, shape, or form, then I was okay with just kind of moving on with it. So it seems like we all had fun with the whole registering for events process.
We had very different experiences.
I mean, I guess kind of while we're on the topic, is there anything that you guys can think of that would make registering for events a little bit easier, or at least a little bit more of an enjoyable process? Or, I know that certain observations that we have, we usually wait until like our post GenCon episode to talk about. But in general, since we're technically post event registration, what are some of the things that you guys can think of that might help in the process of getting the events that you really want, or something along those lines?
Not being interested in popular things.
It didn't take the server so long to respond to everything.
How long have you been going to Gen Con, Katie?
I know, I'm just saying, that would be helpful.
I'm not trying to be a smart, I'm seriously asking, how long have you been going?
This is my
4th year?
8th year? 7th or 8th?
Is it really?
Yeah, because this is his 3rd year.
Don, we're over the 15 mark,
gosh.
man.
I know that,
so you
but
know.
I just
I'm
didn't
in between.
realize
I'm pretty
it had
sure
been
my
that
first year
long.
was 2013.
Okay, so I
Pretty
think you
sure
came
my
in
first
right
year was
as the queuing system got introduced.
2009,
So,
2010, we were
For those
engaged.
for those
I think
who
I'm in between.
for those who can't stand the current queuing system, understand it was worse.
Oh, much worse. Absolutely.
And it is still better now than I now know exactly how good Gen Cons is after experiencing All Elite Wrestling's sellout of Chicago for All Out on August 31st, because I got in line for that one and I was there when tickets went on and was 36,000 in line.
Wow.
Out of apparently 136,000 to buy 12,000 seats.
Dang.
Wow.
So, and
They
the
just
wait
need a
time
bigger
was an
venue.
hour.
Exactly what I said. I was like, that's
need a bigger
WrestleMania.
venue.
That's not enough.
They just need to do WrestleMania.
The wait
That's
time was an
insane.
hour to tell you didn't get tickets. That's pretty much what happened.
Crazy.
So,
insane.
Gen Con taking too long to respond, totally understand, but it's a real problem. And IT, just in general, you get that many requests at one time. I can't think.
Go ahead.
I can't think of a better way to do it though, because it'd be fair.
Yeah.
Well,
Makes sense.
I do, but it would be way probably more complex than anyone want to do. If you had a pre-queue, yeah, I know, pre-queue sounds like deja queue.
We do. That's a wish list.
Yeah, but shh, I'm talking. So not everyone is going to want to be involved with everything. Not everyone is a Pathfinder player. Not everyone is a True Dungeon player. Not everyone is a. I'm trying to think of the other really big things that sell out. Not everyone. So if you could queue just those people into a group, so basically the True Dungeon, somebody who has no Pathfinder stuff is not in the same queue as someone who has the Pathfinder special stuff. So you're only in the section that you're actually interested in. Does that make any sense? But I have no idea. Again, that's going to be really complex.
If I understand what you're saying, Deb, and if I'm wrong, please correct me.
No, please translate. But
what it sounds like you're saying is based on the actual events that they have in their wish list, they should go into an individual queue for that event specifically, separate from other events that they are a part of, versus the one person being queued with a number and based on that number getting the event tickets that they have.
Right.
But then you're showing favor towards particular events as well. I think that I get what you're saying, because there are a certain set of events that would probably benefit from being handled in their own particular queue. Like, sure. I actually will agree with you that there is that could see the light, but I don't know how it could be done without coming off as showing favor towards particular events.
I'm not thinking as much as showing favor. It's getting those enormous events which clog the pipeline, because out of your 60,000 people who request L at the same moment, if 15,000 of them or 10,000 of them are wanting Pathfinder, well, get them out of the muck. That the 35,000 other people who don't care about the Pathfinder special, they don't have to worry about the clog in the pipe of it trying to match that many seats. The same for True Dungeon. If you're we're not going for True Dungeon. Why should we be waiting for you 1,700 people ahead of me who are trying to get True Dungeon? I don't care about True Dungeon. Just y'all hang out in your own corner. I'll be over here in the Paizo ridiculousness.
It would almost be more beneficial to have them have a separate release time before everything else for those giant things.
Exactly.
And then have those like the Pathfinder specials and True Dungeons all launch at this time.
Right.
And then 5 hours later or the next day even.
Right.
Everything
Next
else
day,
launches.
noon.
And
Right,
everything that people are all fighting over. Like the giant events like that would be out of the system, but that would cause. I feel like that would cause issues too.
Then he's like, well, then that causes favoritism, and I'm not looking at it as much as that as just get your big guys out, move your Hulks out of the way, so that your Spider-Mans can actually move forward. But anyway, I don't even know how that would work, but
that's also taking into consideration that everyone in front of you in line is getting the same events as you, or possibly not getting the same events as you.
Right. And I mean, I understand. That's the whole point, is that not everyone's going after the same events. So if I'm number 5,200 and whatever, if everyone ahead of me is going for Pathfinder, well, okay. But if a whole bunch of them are going for True Dungeon and they're taking up my time in the queue, they're taking up time that I'm waiting and I'm trying to get. And I guess I don't totally understand what the queue process is.
Sure.
Enough in... I don't think I know enough about computer logic, thank goodness, because I probably would have an enormous migraine right now.
Sure.
But
it's kind of like a brain only taken apart.
I don't. Computers are magic. They are
magic.
You can ask Jake. Computers are magic
They're
to me. I
rainbows and
don't.
magic.
I don't understand how they work. I'm never going to try and understand how they work.
Sure.
That's not the type of thing that I have any desire to learn because that's not how my brain works. I'm like, nope, the magic box is doing magic things
I
again.
push the button and it's not turning on. I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
There's no light,
real.
so what do? We check the plug and we call a friend.
Jake.
And we call
Call
phone a
Jake.
friend. That's right.
Come here and tell me how to make the magic box work, please.
But the logistics of what they do, in all honesty, we really have to respect how many thousand events are they doing.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's like somewhere in the neighborhood of like 14 to 17,000 on average.
Right. So, but Katie's thought is actually worth who knows, because we know they listen to our podcast. But releasing certain things at different times, so it's not like the floodgates of everybody coming through the pipe all at once with that, and then these events, if you're Paizo and you're name the three big ones, I don't know, Paizo, Wizards, and I don't know, something else. They release at
Sun
this
King.
hour.
No, I'm just kidding.
Sure. I don't know. I don't even, I'm trying to think of some other big ones. But anyway.
Upper Deck.
There you go, Upper Deck. Okay. Yeah. Those games will all release at 10 a.m. on this day. And then for 2 hours, that's it. Or 3 hours, or pick your time. They would know better how long it takes. That's just it. And then these next three release at this time, and these next three. And then after that, everybody else. So,
sure.
But
again, and obviously I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate, but on the other side of it, if you are, let's say they were to do, hey, we're going to do all of the Paizo events, we're going to do all of the Upper Deck tournament events, and we're going to register for all of the Wizards of the Coast events on this Saturday at noon instead of Sunday at noon for the general populace.
Yep.
You're also considering that you also have to take into consideration, I should say, that there are not going to be 10,000 people in front of you when you register for those events as well. Right. if you go to register for those Paizo Pathfinder exclusives, because you also have to consider with particularly the Pathfinder exclusive. I know that's been something that we've all done together for several years now in a row.
And a lot of people do.
Yeah. But this is also one of the last years, if not the last year, I believe, that Paizo is going to be doing first edition Pathfinder Society stuff, because they're introducing second edition Pathfinder Society stuff in the same time frames, or at least staggered with one another so that they can introduce second ed to people who are playing first ed. So they're not as worried about who is going to be playing first ed compared to who is going to be playing second ed for their product. And then the people who have been playing Pathfinder for years and years and years and years and years, and maybe they've taken a step away from playing Pathfinder Society for a while, but have decided that they want to kind of retire their first edition character at this last GenCon event, they may have jumped into the pool that they haven't been in for several years too. So using this year is can be a little bit of a rough example when it comes to like specifically certain events, because there are some events that are going to be changing as of next year.
It's a weird transition year.
Yeah, it's a transition year for some places, and it just happens to be one of the games that we play on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah. So I'm not really knocking Gen Con. I'm just all about getting it more efficient and more clean so that people have a better experience. Yeah. Because you don't want people to be having a bad experience in the queue. But at the same time, it's, open up the floodgates and just watch it happen.
Well, and I think we've kind of had similar conversations. Obviously, they're not the same because it kind of takes into consideration different types of products. And I know for Jake, some of this stuff you may not have even ever had to deal with because this is your third year going. So there's a lot of things that like Josh and Deb and I, and even Katie to some extent, have experienced at Gen Con over the last 15 years that you're never even going to have experienced, True. When I started going to Gen Con, and shortly after when Josh started going to Gen Con, they would do really cool like promotional grab bags where people who were promoting certain things, they would throw some cool swag into a bag that you would get with your badge registration kind of thing. They don't do that anymore. They do a coupon book that you go in and you go around to the different booths that have promotional things, and maybe you'll have to demo a game to get a free thing, or maybe you'll have to buy something to get another bonus something and stuff like that. it's all kind of the same dog and pony show. It's just handled in a much different way, some of these things. And I specifically brought that up because just the other day, Bonnie, my wife, was talking to a couple of friends about GenCon that aren't gamers and have never been, but she was just kind of talking about how over the last few years her interest has kind of transitioned into one of more along the lines of reminiscing about past years that were a lot more fun than worrying about going again. And she was kind of relating some of the reasons why. And one of them happened to be they used to do a swag bag, and now they don't do a swag bag. Now they do a coupon book. And my point to that was, for her, I said, yeah, but you're still getting really cool promotional stuff. They're just pushing you into the exhibit hall, where not only are you seeing these people who are demoing their things and who are giving away really fun stuff for promotional reasons, but you're also walking around, several hundred, if not 1,000 different vendors to see their things as well. And it helps GenCon out because then those people want to come back the next year because they had really good sales, and then GenCon is able to sell that booth spot. So, it's all kind of a promotional machine when it comes to different aspects of the convention. And I think by this point, there are a lot of those kind of things that we've all just dealt with and just said, you know what, that's not going to change. This is how they've, this is their program now. This is how they want to do it. And I'm just going to have to deal with it or not, and either go or not go. It's, that's kind of a different decision. But I guess kind of moving back to events and stuff like that, what are some of the events that we're all individually really excited about checking out?
I'm really excited to see this super cool improv group called Breakfast Anytime. And they have a show 7 o'clock Thursday night. I'm very excited to go to
I think it's in
ICC 121 and 122?
111 and 112.
111 and 112.
It's very close. You'll be in the general vicinity.
7 o'clock?
We didn't even prompt her for that, guys.
I know, that was great.
Wow.
That was great.
Shameless
There are still
self-promoting.
tickets available. We have gotten a lot of people who have gotten tickets for that, by the way, on a side note. And we definitely encourage you all to come and check that out. And I guarantee you that won't be the last plug in this episode for that show. Outside of the Breakfast Anytime show in ICC 111 and 112 at 7 o'clock on Thursday, what other events are we all really excited about?
The release of Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Yeah.
I've already got
right? Friday night?
Nope, Thursday.
Yeah.
We have a game Friday night. Yes, we have a 2nd edition game Friday
the
night.
first edition closeout isn't Thursday?
No, the first
They're
edition
doing first-
closeout is Friday.
Yeah, they're doing first edition stuff
Then what are
Thursday
we
and
playing
Friday.
on Friday night?
We're playing a 2nd edition game somewhere else, not in the Sagamore. But we
okay,
are
well, it's 2-1, so it's
Yeah, I
the
know.
first one. So, but we're not playing. We're playing in
the
Sagamore.
special is at 8 o'clock on Saturday. Sorry, the special is 8 o'clock Saturday.
The first edition
Yes.
special closeout is Saturday.
Yes.
Oh, but the opening Friday, because we're in the
Yes.
big one in Sagamore, but that's Friday.
Well,
is the
we are
opener.
doing an opening campaign. I'm not going to say it's the big. It's not a big special. They're doing 3 society. 2-1, 2-2, and or whatever, 11-1, 11-2, something along those lines. I don't think it's a special though. I'm not going Starfinder specials Friday night. Sorry. Not going to get too much into that. I'm excited about it because, for one, I've already got everything pre-ordered, so I'm not going to wait in line. I'll just go pick it up.
There you go.
But that also means Thursday my PDFs will be available, so I can make a character that night.
Nice.
And Kevin Manning has got my special edition bestiary and core rulebook on pre-order also,
Nice.
so I'll have those.
Did you has Hero Lab updated anything for second ed character creation yet?
Well, Hero Lab Online is doing second
Right. That's
edition.
yeah, I know that. But
And
I mean,
it's all I've got is the playtest right now, but
Okay.
my understanding is they're going to be ready to launch the first.
maybe do the.
I
that'd be
I
cool.
believe that's the
yeah,
plan.
Thursday
because
do
they're
the
going to
official
be,
launch.
I believe, in the ballroom Thursday.
I would expect that. Yeah. I may even though I'm not currently, but potentially in any second ed games, I may go up there just to play with the character creation stuff for Hero Lab Online.
ABCs, man, ancestry background in class.
Yeah, I think I might do that just for some fun. See what.
If
see
you
what it looks
haven't
like.
check out Paizo's official Twitch and YouTube channels, because they have a lot of information about how characters are going to be moving with that.
Right.
What was another? We're picking up Lovelace and Babbage.
Yes. Yeah.
With Artana Games.
Babbage.
So up high, upper right corner, Tesla
Yes.
versus Edison. And
Oh,
Speakeasy
okay.
Blues, Artana Games. Last year, we tried out a game that they were just in the process of creating. They only had the demos out, called Lovelace and Babbage. And it's a math game, and it's dedicated to Ava Lovelace and Babbage, who were the first involved in the first creation of a computer. They were Americans who were involved in the first idea of computers. And anyway, it's math. It's neat. You can definitely tell that whoever it is a history fan, because they try to put some things in. Anyway, we played it. I loved it, and it wasn't out yet, but it's coming out this year.
It was a Kickstarter. There,
Cool.
Kickstarter pickup at GenCon with national release in like October, November, something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to do that one.
Seeing USAopoly, they've got another Harry Potter game coming out. I'm totally forgetting the name of it right now.
Called Death Eater Rising.
Okay, there you go. Is it
And-
based off Thanos Rising?
Yes, it is.
That's what I thought.
Yes,
Is
it
USAopoly
is.
the ones who did the Harry Potter adventure
Yes.
card
Yes,
game?
they are.
And because we also we just got
They
the
own the
competitive.
license.
Yes,
Just
they
so you
have the
know,
license.
USAopoly owns the license for Harry Potter
So
board
ours
games.
is
Steve Jackson has one too. There's a Harry Potter Munchkin.
I know that.
The one we got, the competitive 2-player Harry
Defense
Potter.
of the Dark Arts.
Is that also USAopoly?
Yes.
Okay. That's a good game too, by the way. Anybody who likes the Harry Potter adventure card game,
So if you like
that's a good one.
Thanos Rising and you're excited about Death Eater Rising,
I want to play Thanos Rising first.
I
but-
want to talk to someone who lives in a different country close to London, England, somewhere like that, to get Darkside Rising, because it's a Star Wars game that will not release in the United States because USAopoly does not own the rights to Star Wars board games in the U.S.
Lame.
Fantasy Flight does.
Fantasy Flight does.
Yep, they do. No,
Wait,
Fantasy
so-
Flight owns their strategy miniature games.
Oh.
I think Hasbro owns their board game stuff.
So someone who lived over there could get it and
So if
just mail it
someone
to us.
happens to know somebody who lives in like North Africa,
Or it's going over there
or
the
is
first week
going
of
to-
September.
yeah. Well, I don't think it releases until maybe October.
Okay,
though.
all right.
But I want. I mean,
Anyway.
Darth Vader's in the middle, and it's Anyway, so
I could come up with more. What are you guys looking forward to? So I don't keep talking.
I think one of my favorite ones is our oversized Tower of Madness.
yeah.
It's funny because we actually had like a ton of queues for that when we were signing up for this, just because we knew it was going to sell out.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge sucker for oversized board games.
Yeah.
And this is just going to be a ton of fun.
And we really liked Tower of Madness. We picked it up last year at Gen Con, and we really enjoyed playing it. So when it was like a 7-foot tall version of Tower of Madness, we're like, oh, heck yeah.
How
Yeah.
does Tower of Madness work?
Okay, so it's similar to Kerplunk in terms of like you have all the sticks in the tower and there's marbles on top of them.
Gotcha.
But there's a card aspect too, and the marbles mean different things. So
Gotcha.
it's typical Cthulhu, like, you're fighting off the
okay.
Eldritch Madness.
Gotcha.
And like if you draw enough, like when you pull the stick out, like there are certain marbles that there's 3 green ones, I think, in the whole batch, and they'll summon Cthulhu, you summon Cthulhu, game's over, you lose.
Sure.
Unless throughout the game you've drawn enough madness marbles to now you're mad and you want to summon Cthulhu, you win, everybody else loses.
You become
So
a cultist. Nice.
It's cooperative until it isn't.
That's great.
So
it's similar to like, it's not exactly the same, but it's similar to like Betrayal or something like that.
Kind of, yeah,
Where,
like
where there's there is
it is
kind of
cooperative, but then there's also the possibility for it not to be, depending
Yeah.
on. But it's more like chance based on whether it becomes non-cooperative. Whereas Betrayal's like guaranteed almost, except for like
Right.
3 of the scenarios.
Funny enough, we played Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, and we just happened to play a scenario that had no betrayer.
Nice.
was a
really-
dragon.
It was a dragon. We were fighting against. Well, we weren't fighting the dragon. We were trying to retrieve the dragon eggs.
Yeah, because there was no way to fight said dragon.
No,
Said
that dragon was going to eat you alive. Which, as a dragon should.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So you say that was called Tower of Madness?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm super excited because there's a dice bag that we're making that's Dragon Age themed.
Oh, right.
We're actually doing we're doing a Dragon Age RPG with this person as well, and every event you do with this person comes with like a little mini swag bag. Mm-hmm. And one of our friends, Kayla, didn't think she's going to be able to make it to Gen Con this year. Now she is. She told me one of her coworkers bought her badge for her, but I was super excited that we got into both of those events because I have an extra elf root printed dice to give her because Kayla and I are both giant Dragon Age fans.
Yep.
So,
yep. And you're taking your brother to that game too, right?
Correct.
Like
yes.
you and Jake
yes,
and,
it will
and
be,
Garrett.
My parents are letting my brother skip school Friday this year because it is his senior year. So he can't skip Thursday, but he's skipping Friday. So he will go to pretty much every event this year instead of just the Saturday and Sunday events. Yeah, no, I know. Don't make that face, Donald. He's 18 next year, and I'm going to die.
Before you had to say anything about how many years you had been to Gen Con, all you had to do was say, my brother is a senior in high school. And all I would have had to do is go, wow, I remember that kid coming out of elementary school.
Yep.
Like, wow. That's just insane. My gosh.
So yeah, super excited to have Garrett with us all weekend. He's doing some stuff on his own this year because he's gotten into Magic.
Nice.
He actually works at a card shop. So he works at the Dugout.
The Dugout?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
How's his sleight of hand?
Not very good. Oh. The kid's awkward as heck.
Yeah, he's 17, but he's still Garrett.
Yeah, he's 17, 6'4", 130 pounds wet.
Is he
Let's
really
be real.
6'4"?
He's 6'3". I think he's taller than Jake.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna play in traffic now.
But yeah, so he's gonna do a Magic event that's 3 hours while we do some other stuff.
That's cool.
Because
is it do you know if it's a draft or a
I think so. I'm pretty
event?
sure he said a draft,
cool.
but I wasn't sure
good.
because I'm. And have never and never will be into Magic,
Makes
so
total
it's all
sense.
Greek to me.
That's fine. That's cool. That's awesome. I'm glad that he's gonna kind of do his own thing, and I know that for several years now that he has been going with you. You guys have done a lot of things together, so it's kind of neat to see him branch out and finally kind of pursue some of the. Well, I know. It'll make you sadder next year when he's an adult and he's actually
he's a college student.
Booking all of his own events, and he doesn't need help doing it. Yeah. Wow. So one of the events that I registered for that I'm really excited about, I kind of already talked about the Critical Role Talks Machina panel, which I am extremely excited about, but I'm actually going to be in a First Ed Vampire the Masquerade tabletop role-playing game on Friday night. And I was a little hesitant at first because I think it was a $16 game to get into. But the game itself, you get to keep the 10d10 Vampire Ankh dice and the dice bag, along with like your character information and stuff like that. But and it's called Tomb of the Tremere, and it's sold out. It's like the only one that was running, and I was so excited when I got tickets to that and to the crit roll thing. And so I've got a few other events that I'm really, really excited about, but those are probably my top two for the weekend. And I know Bonnie and I have a friend named Andrea that we have made through our church, and she likes playing games. She's kind of getting into gaming. She hasn't been super exposed to a lot of different things, but she has an interest in a lot of different things. And one of her interests, after hanging out with us for a couple of months and probably hearing us talk about gaming and Gen Con and stuff like that, she comes to Bonnie and I and she goes, so I think I want to go to Gen Con for my birthday. And her birthday weekend is next weekend. And I was like, well, how many days? And she goes, how many days is it? And I said,
how many days is your birthday?
I said, right. I said 4, and she goes, I think I want to do all 4. And I was like, man, that is, first of all, she's an introvert.
Fire.
Oh.
She's an introvert, but she's really excited about going to Gen Con. Second of all, she's never been to a convention like this. So she has a 4-day pass, and she has events all 4 days scheduled.
Wow.
What was really cool to me, not just that, but Bonnie, like I had said earlier, had kind of fallen into like she wasn't really super excited about going, and last year she only went on Sunday, and she had fun. We had fun. We took the boys on Sunday, but my wife again is an introvert, like we've talked about on previous episodes and such, and she loves people, but she really loves her people. As most introverts will understand what that means. Extroverts are like, everyone is your people, but not really.
Nope.
Not for an introvert.
Nope.
They have a select few people that they can really trust.
My people.
When Andrea said she wanted to go to GenCon, and she said, I want to go to GenCon, and I want to go to GenCon with Bonnie, I was like, well, you'll have to talk to my wife about that. Because I'm totally down for like tagging along and showing you all the fun stuff, but I'm not going to do it the same way Bonnie would. And she was like, okay, so she talked to Bonnie, and she was like, I really want to go to Gen Con this year, and I really want you to come with me. And it was like all of a sudden, Bonnie had a redefined motivation to want to go.
Awesome.
So, I got her pass, and her and Andrea... And I loved it. Andrea had forgotten when event registration was. So she came over to my house like a month later. So it's like near the end of June at this point. She's like, I really want to schedule for events and stuff like that. I really want to sit down and see what Bonnie and I want to do. I was like, okay, sure. So I pulled up the Gen Con website. I logged onto her account. And I said, okay, so when you're looking for events, you can sort these ways, you can filter these things, or you can just search for specific titles and stuff like that, depending on what you want to do. She was like, okay, and so I kind of showed her, like, okay, so for example, if you're looking for a role-playing game, this is how you might do it, or you can do it a couple of other ways. And then her and Bonnie sat in front of my computer for 3 hours, looking through events for every day, booking events, and they're in, I think they're in a couple of role-playing games. They're in 2 Harry Potter live-action role-playing games. They're building, or they're quilting a Catan board. They've got like, I don't know. I think they've got like
eclectic thing I've ever heard, which sounds perfect
right,
for Bonnie.
Exactly.
Like
and
flawless
exactly.
for Bonnie.
And
I would blow out my brain, but
this is what I would. Okay, so I'll be honest. I was only really, honestly, only just slightly bothered by this. But they were trying to figure out an event to do on Friday morning. And I said, well, I got 2 tickets to a euchre tournament on Friday morning. And they both looked at me and they said, can we have them? And I went, both of them? And they were like, yeah. And I went,
see, this is Dom, this is Deb. A big next year. Sounds like I have an amazing thing for next year.
I went, okay.
He's nice. Nope.
And so they're taking my euchre tournament tickets. Which the thing is, I got 2 euchre tournament tickets because I was hoping Bonnie would want to go, and I got them with the intention of it being her and I going. So the fact that it's her and Andrea going is totally fine by me, because all that means is Friday morning I'll be in the vendor hall buying all of my Transformers 35th anniversary Transformer game stuff. But it was just really, it was really funny that, for the last 3 years, Bonnie's been a little hard pressed to commit to going to Gen Con. And then it was like, Andrea was like, hey, I really want to go and I want you to go with me. And it was like, sold. That's all she needed.
Flipped.
Right. It was really funny. So I am actually more excited about that than probably any of the events that I'm doing. The fact that Bonnie's going to go and she's really excited about it. Andrea's going to go and she's really excited about it. We talked to Andrea on the phone yesterday, and I just happened to mention casually, I was like, so, you excited about Gen Con yet? And she was like, yes. I'm pretty sure she took off work Wednesday through the rest of the weekend for Gen Con and for her birthday and stuff like that. So she's ready to go. She's going to have a really good time. Bonnie's going to have a really good time. And the fact that she convinced my wife to get into a live action role play game was really odd to me. But then the fact that it's a Harry Potter one makes total sense. So yeah, while I'm hanging out here at my friend Josh and Deb's house playing some Pathfinder Society, my wife will be at Gen Con with Andrea having fun. So that was, definitely different than past years. So anyway, all right, we've talked about events. We talked about things that we registered for, kind of our overall feeling. What I would like to get into is a little bit of an observation for the things that we have done. Again, collectively, I think we've probably got about 45 to 50 years of collective experience at GenCon, funny enough. But let's talk a little bit for the people who maybe this is their first ever GenCon. Is this 52? Is this GenCon 52?
That sounds right.
Yes, it is, because his first year was 50.
Okay.
And this is his third.
So GenCon 52 or GenCon 2019. I'm going to start with Jake because he's kind of the newest blood of the GenCon experience. What have been some things that you have done the last couple of years and that you're going to be doing again this year to kind of prepare or to make sure you have kind of the best possible time at GenCon while you're there?
I definitely know this year the thing that's going to be a little bit different than the previous 2 years that I've been going is I'm going to be working. So, unfortunately, I'm already going to be...
You're going to be dead dog tired,
I
man.
am, especially third shift worker here.
Yeah.
So, I've already got the plan of buying a bunch of energy drinks to help me get through.
Sure.
Just kind of planning out to make sure that I have enough energy to get through all my events. 'Cause
right.
I know we're packed.
And you're working Wednesday night and Thursday night, correct? So, Thursday and Friday for you will be long days.
Very long days.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know. Other than that, we a lot of our events that we do, there's not too much planning that we have involved. Just because I know, just me personally, I've been exposed to a handful of games. I'm not really like adept in anything, nor do I know what most of the games are that I'm going to.
Yeah, or
So
even what the word adept means.
Yeah, true. Also that too.
Also that.
And anyway, so I just kind of go in there with blind eyes,
Cool.
expecting nothing, and
Yeah.
hoping for the best. So
Yeah.
it's kind of what I plan for.
Okay. Very
Normally
cool.
what we do is we just kind of pick things we've never heard of.
Right.
We like to, wow, that sounds cool. I wonder what it is. I don't know. Let's do it.
Yeah. See, I do very similar things for when I'm booking myself. Is I will try, unless of course we're doing like we talked about Pathfinder Society game. Like the last few years, I've kind of carved out specific time to do that game with Josh and Deb and
That's
several
what
of
we
our
do
other
for
friends.
True Dungeon. We try and
Right.
do like our True Dungeon is Saturday night. We do a
Right.
really late night Saturday True Dungeon. That way we know when it is and we don't have to worry about our
Right.
schedule.
And
for
it's kind of the
everything else.
tradition for, hey, I only get to do this. I've had this conversation a million times with Bonnie because Bonnie is an I want new experiences every time I go kind of person. And I'm not necessarily like that. I love new experiences, but I love doing things that I know I love doing as well, you know? And one of the things I love doing is playing in Pathfinder Society. And this year, I don't know if I'm actually going to play in a Pathfinder Society game or not. That's kind of still up in the air. But in general, I have kind of done the same thing where I will, like, there are games that I have heard about or that I have seen played but have never gotten a chance to actually play that I really have been trying to get into for years that I'm actually going to be doing this year. So that's kind of a really cool way to look at it and just say, who cares? Let's see what happens. You know, roll the dice, and no pun intended. Roll the dice and see what happens. So, all right, Katie, Miss 7-year veteran, what would you say has been something that you have done or do to prepare / make sure that you have a really good time at GenCon, or at least just a positive experience? It doesn't necessarily have to be like a slam bang knock out of the park.
Just prepare to not have all of your expectations met. Like, just prepare yourself that, it's not going to be exactly like you think it is. There's always something that goes wrong. Last year, we managed to drop all of our event tickets for Thursday in the parking lot of our apartment complex.
Oh my
That was-
gosh.
So, there's always something. It's never going to go as you expected. It's never going to go flawlessly.
Yeah.
Just prepare to roll with the punches and just take everything as it comes to you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point, too.
Someone needs to tell Andrea that.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
that needs to be you, or I don't know.
I will do that. I will do that because I will see her tomorrow, so I will
know
probably
she's incredibly
do that
excited, which is wonderful.
Right.
But if she goes in expecting everything is going to go off without a hitch, there are going to be hitches.
Right.
So as long as she is okay accepting that fact,
right?
And you know,
which I think she is. I think she's really open to whatever happens, which I'm really excited about for her. But also, yes, you're absolutely right. Like, especially for somebody who may have a personality to have expectations and to have those expectations met or at least closely met, it can be a little bit heartbreaking when you walk into a game and you have a really crappy time, and then you're like, "Wow, I'm glad I wasted $6 and 4 hours of my life on that game. That was a great life decision."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Joshy, when it comes to, let's see, you went the second year I went. I believe it was 2006. So this will be your 14th Gen Con, I believe. Is that correct? Am I calculating that correct?
Sounds right.
Okay. So over the last 14 or 13 Gen Cons, what has been something that you've done, at least on a consistent basis, not necessarily every year for the last 13, but what's something that you do on a consistent basis to make sure that you have as good an experience at Gen Con as you can?
Play at least one game with a group of friends that you know. And play at least one game with a group of people you don't know.
Okay.
And I make that statement. So on Friday, Deb and I are going to play a Maximum X-Crawl game. I have wanted to play Maximum X-Crawl ever since I heard about it. The premise of the X-Crawl system is imagine American Gladiators meets Pathfinder. You are literally like superstars in an arena, and you battle and go through these like made-up dungeons that are televised, all to try and get the interest of the crowd.
It's Running Man with elves.
Sure. It sounds fantastic. I'm super excited. Deb and I are going to play with a party of people. We have no idea who they are. Before we then go to St. Elmo's for dinner, and then come back for Pathfinder in the evening on Friday.
That's awesome.
No idea what I'm getting into. One of the nicest steakhouses in the state of Indiana.
Yep.
And then back into Pathfinder, where I'm very comfortable, except...
Where you still don't know what you're going to get into because it's the second game.
Right, it's the second game, so I still have not completely a clue of what I'm doing.
Yeah,
but we're going to be there with Adam and Xander and Lance and Vanessa.
That's great.
And the two of us, so
I've got the consistency of the
not
group.
Friday night. It won't have Lance. I don't know who else is going to play with us that night because somebody else didn't make a ticket. Anyways.
We have an extra ticket. Hey, anybody want to join us?
We'll see. So that I play with people you know, and make it a point to play with people you don't.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. Deb, same question. What is something that you have done? Let's see. When did you start going, Deb?
So this is where I'm going to have to ask. So
2010-ish.
2010. So this is.
It was. We were engaged at that point.
Sounds right.
Because we got engaged in 2007. But we were engaged a really long time.
Right, because you were back and forth from Missouri for
med
school and stuff like that.
So I feel like it was 2000, because I don't think I could go before that because I had med school stuff. But that year, thanks to scheduling, and fourth year is not usually, anyway.
So this will be your 10th.
Oh my goodness, is this the 10th?
Right?
Let me see. If I first went in 2010, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, this is my 10th year.
Yeah,
Hey, it's my 10th anniversary.
Well, it's your 9th anniversary.
9th anniversary, my 10th year.
Gen Con.
Thank you, Don, for being the specific one here, because that is absolutely accurate.
That's true.
So anyway, all right. So 10 years. 10 years of glory. Not really. No, not really. Okay, so continue with your question.
So... over the last 9 years, or over the last 9 Gen Cons, I should say, what has been something that you have done that has served you well to make sure that... I think I've reworded this question 4 times at this point.
You have. I think
yeah.
so.
What is something that you have done? Right. What is something that you have done that has served you well so that you can make sure that you have the best possible time at Gen Con that you can have?
Giving ourselves enough time in the exhibit hall. The exhibit hall, you've got to take time. And why would I say, well, why take time? It's fine. I'll just go in there 20 minutes and then I'll zip out of there. playing games, trialing games in the exhibit hall has been one of my favorite things to do. I'm a sensor. I like to see it, touch it, hear it, experience it. So as I'm walking through the hall and I see a game, or Josh sees a game, it's like, hey, what do you think? And so I'll watch, and usually I'll watch somebody else playing it or demoing it, or I'll watch the person there kind of yeah, let's go ahead and let's sit and try that. And that's how I found out that I really, really like Lovelace and Babbage, which we're picking up this year, is because we played the demo version there. We also played the demo of Speakeasy Blues, and we ended up buying it. There are several games that are on my shelf that I'm looking right now. We demoed at GenCon, and I said, I really like this. This is great. Sold. Lords of Vegas. I first played at the
man, I
Mayfair.
love that game.
That is such a great game.
We have not played that game in forever.
We need to play a game, and we've got the expansion up, so if we want to play 5 or 6 players. Either way, I first played that one at the Mayfair booth at GenCon, had a blast, loved it so much, I stayed for the next group to play and kind of helped to shepherd them through the game when the person needed to take a bathroom break. So give yourself enough time to be able to not only walk through it, but demo some games right there. You will find games that you love, and you had no idea you would love them. But you're going to walk up, something's going to catch your eye of, what is that? That's really interesting. What are they doing there? Whatever it is. So make sure you give yourself time, demo at least one game. More than that would be my encouragement, but at least one game. And it's just a great experience. You're with other people who don't know what they're doing either. They're just trying it out. So it's a lot of tongue in cheek, just sort of figuring out what you're doing, which is great. It's relaxed. Usually the people there are really cool about it. I just had some great conversations, just chilling out. You get to sit down. Hey, yay. Usually, unless it's a standing demonstration.
Yeah.
At any rate, that's been one of my favorite things, and usually at the end it's I demoed this game in the exhibit hall and we loved it and we bought it. I mean, we just said that several times, so love that.
Okay, Big Don, same question. If you know, just kidding.
You're gonna ask yourself the question?
No, I'm not. I would have to say, if there is one thing that has served me over the last 14 years, and this will be my 15th GenCon, that I have been going to GenCon and doing, that has probably been the best nugget that I would give to anybody, is maintain your energy level. Whether that be through sleep, whether that be through eating, energy drinks are fine. Jake, don't kill yourself on energy drinks, but in general, like, maintain your energy level. If that means that you carve out time between events where you go and you have dinner, if that means that you carve out time between events where you go and you just sit down or even lay down and stretch out and get a chance to kind of relieve yourself physically for a while, make sure that you're paying attention to where your energy level is at and that you are addressing that. Because the last thing you want to do, and this is the reason why I said what I said to you, Jake, is the last thing that I want to see is Thursday and Friday you have a good time, you're buzzing, maybe you got a few hours of sleep in between work and GenCon or GenCon and work. Then Saturday comes, and then Saturday is the day that your body just crashes out because you just can't do more than a few days on that kind of a rigorous third shift and then doing stuff during the day kind of schedule. I have had multiple times where I've gotten to Saturday and I've just been sacked, and I haven't been able to get to the convention center until like middle of the afternoon, and I feel like I've wasted the first half of my day. And there's still lots of hours at GenCon for Saturday and for Sunday, but in general, it can be hard sometimes when you're kicking yourself for running out of steam, because that's just what has naturally happened, making sure that you're maintaining that by, one thing that I've done in past years and we'll do again this year is I will either have a lunch bag, or I'll put sandwiches in my Ziploc bag, or I'll have a small cooler or something like that in my car that'll have water, it'll have like juice, it may have an energy drink or two in there, and then like food, you know what I mean? Sometimes like snack food, the things that you want to eat when you're doing GenCon stuff or when you're doing like marathon stuff like that, you want high protein and you want healthy carbs, because that's going to help you maintain your energy level. So, nuts, jerky, fruit, things like that. Fruit juice, cheese.
Peanut butter crackers is not
Right.
a bad choice either.
Yeah, and if you don't have them, and let's say you are somebody who's an out-of-towner, maybe you don't live here in Indianapolis and you don't know where everything is, you can usually, there's a gas station right around the corner from the exhibit hall. I would recommend spend the money and the time to go over to the Speedway gas station and get that kind of stuff and not your hotel, because you're going to spend 3 times more money at the hotel getting that stuff.
True.
Also, on Georgia Street, they will have food trucks all weekend, so there's tons and tons of food that you can get if you want to spend the money on. And it's not usually super expensive when it comes to the food there. It's not your, $2 grilled cheese sandwich or anything like that. But it's
For the
it's
price,
not
it's
usually
better than convention center.
Exactly. Yeah, for
You're
the
gonna get
price
some
and for what
great
you get.
options.
Exactly.
It's really fun stuff.
And then if you need a place that is less crowded and quiet or something like that, I recommend finding a nice off-site restaurant or someplace like that. Maybe even if you have a friend who has a hotel room that you can just go and chill out for a little bit and just kind of reset yourself, especially for the introverts in the room. But in general, if you just need to take a cat nap or something like that, or just be kind of secluded from the public, that kind of thing can definitely help. Joshy, did you have...
Well, I wanted to add to that there is every financial option food-wise available.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whether it be going to the food court at the mall for Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A, there's White Castle, Arby's, Subway around
Steak
the
and
corner.
shake, but
Steak and
prepared.
shake.
Something that you want to do also, and I apologize for interrupting you, Josh, but as somebody who has worked downtown, and especially during convention time, who eats lunch on a regular basis downtown, go at unconventional lunch times, because anytime between 11 and 1 o'clock, it is going to be packed in that mall. So go at 10 or 10:30 maybe and pick up your lunch, or go at 1:30 or 2 and have a snack before you go, so that you're not starving by the time you get there.
And be sure, if you're coming out of town, even if you're local and can do it, I would recommend at least doing one nice meal while you're around.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know the old spaghetti factory is very popular. There's also an escape room near there if you're interested in something like that. We're going to St. Elmo's, as I mentioned. Fogo de Show is one that we're going to do on Wednesday night, like we tend to do anyways. Harry and Izzy's is great around lunchtime.
Yeah. There's the Prime Steakhouse.
Prime 47.
Yeah, Prime
Definitely
47.
recommend them. They're good. They also, I think they sell Wagyu beef, I think, if you're really into something super fancy.
Yeah. There's a ton of really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sushi places, Blaze Pizza, right down there, which is good stuff.
Stuff off of Market Street. There's a couple of
Buca di Beppo.
there's a kebab place off of Market Street. There's for breakfast. I'm not saying that you should do this every day, but there is a Jack's Donuts.
You are known
And
for it.
Chris does the lunch special every
Yes, they
year.
do.
Yep.
And I think St. Elmo's is doing a lunch special one day this year too. It's
I
either
hadn't
St.
heard
Elmo's or Harry and Izzy's, one of those two.
There's a Giordano's downtown now. There's a
lots of
bunch
food
of
options.
stuff. Lots of stuff.
Well, we're coming up on the end, and I've been sitting on a set of phrases that usually tips and tricks that we always.
Yes.
Can I say one thing, though?
Yes.
I'm thinking of it because we both currently have our children on our lap. So if you do hear my daughter or my son, that's because they wanted to be with us. So anyway, if you are going with kids, there are some great options. We are planning to go and visit again this year, the Haba booth, because we bought a ton of 3 games last year that were very fun. And another one called Peaceable Kingdoms is another one that we're going to visit on our kid day to see if they have fun games. So there are games that are great for kids out there.
That's very true.
Even if you're going just by yourself, check them out, because there's some really cute games that your kids might have a blast playing with you that you can pick up there. So not everything has to be, blood and guts and gore. There's some really good ones that
Blue Orange
Maggie
is a great game publisher that makes good family
there's another
style.
one.
They do
Yep.
like King Domino and Scrabia and Queen Domino and stuff like that are really good games. I actually demoed Scrabia and King Domino with the Giants expansion last year at GenCon, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So check those out if you're someone who has kids, whether your kids are coming with you or not. There are those options. So make sure to do that, because gaming should be, you should be passing it on to the next generation, right? See, and my son completely agrees. That's my boy. There we go.
So here's your quick fire tips and tricks from Josh.
That's right.
Be nice. Drink water. Stay out of the aisles. And wash your butt.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah. That's a good point. That's one thing we didn't really talk much about this year was when you're, especially when you're in the exhibitor hall, but if you are in just the main thoroughfare hallways, be cognizant of the people around you and try not to block the main thoroughfares if you can. I know it can be difficult with, big guys like me who are wearing a backpack that sometimes it's tough to get around. I try and stand sideways down the aisle so that I'm not blocking people out of the way. But like people with strollers or, people in wheelchairs and things like that, in conjunction, I got a chance to talk to my friend Frank, and one of the things that he said, which I thought was a really great observation, especially because it's not something that I would have in the forefront of my mind, but he is in a wheelchair, and he said that one thing he would love to see at most conventions, especially at GenCon, is a low table, so that people who have people who need that handicap accessibility can still look at your products and they don't have to fight with the people that are taller than them, or in a standing situation where they can't see something. I thought that was a really good observation. So be cognizant of the people around you and especially of the babies who just want to punch you in the face and take your microphone away from you. Isn't that right, Josh?
Well, I know in the Gen Con indie group there are a couple people who come to Gen Con and they have mobility issues, they're in wheelchairs or what have you. Mm-hmm. A note out there to all the cosplayers, you do not need the handicap bathroom to change. Mm-hmm. Please leave the handicap bathroom for the handicapped people. There's like 5-6 different bathrooms. They each only have like one handicap stall.
Right.
Out of the 30 bathroom stalls, please don't take that for cosplay because there are people who can't use any other bathroom stall and have to wait.
Right. Unless you are a
handicap cosplayer.
Yes, exactly. If you're a handicap cosplayer, go for it.
Have at it.
Please go for it. But for those of us who do not, we should not be taking it from the people who really need it.
And keep in mind the fact that the convention center does have 3 floors. There are bathrooms on at least the main floor and the second floor. Mm-hmm. So you can get to a bathroom wherever you need to go. And if you're having trouble finding a bathroom in the convention center, go to one of the hotels. Yeah. The JW Marriott, the Standard Marriott, the Westin, the Crowne Plaza, and the Hyatt are all connected by skywalks. And you can easily get from one hotel to the convention center and back without a problem if you need to use the restroom and you don't want to wait in line or you don't want to deal with...
I'll tell you, those are some pretty nice bathrooms.
Yeah, I mean, they really are.
But they really are nice bathrooms if you're going there. So it's not like you're like, come on, this is the JW, this is the Westin, this is nice. So it's a little quieter, too, because I remember I was doing cosplay one year and I needed to, check the outfit. You know how it goes. And I went in, there's like hardly anybody there. Even though people were playing games, it was really quiet. It was in a really nice bathroom, had some great mirrors. Hello. So, the hotel's a great idea, Don, for cosplaying.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, like, for example, the JW Marriott, I know from experience because I've gone over there after work and have had to use the restroom, their stalls are actually individual, like, the walls go all the way up to the ceiling and almost all the way down to the floor. So it's a nice private stall. Mm-hmm. It's not huge, but it's big enough for you to kind of move around if you need to, and you have costume stuff that you need to do and stuff like that. So... yeah. I would say if I had any last minute tips before we kind of wrap things up for people who are going to be here at Gen Con, people who are going to be in the Indianapolis area, if you're going to be here early, like the Tuesday or Wednesday, take an opportunity to check out Indianapolis before you spend 4 days in just the convention center. Because there's so much more that the city itself offers. Well, there is a lot more than corn in Indiana. But like
soybeans.
If you're into history, there is the Civil War Museum underneath the monument at the Circle
The Idle Museum.
Yeah, there's the State Museum and the Idle Jorg. There's the NCAA Sports Museum that you can check out. There's the zoo.
Children's Museum, if you're into that, if you're coming with your family.
Right, absolutely. There may even be an Indians game scheduled for, the weekend. Sunday?
There usually is an games during GenCon.
Yeah, go and check something like that out. That might be a really cool experience for you to get outside, enjoy the weather after you've been in the convention center for 4 days, sit down, have a drink and have a hot dog and just chill out and watch a game of stickball. So definitely, take advantage of being in Indianapolis while you're in Indianapolis. And if you're not and you're just traveling in and then you're traveling out, be very safe. Just take care of yourself.
Take time.
Get
Everyone's
plenty of
trying to
sleep.
get out.
Right. Be in mind if you're coming in from north of Indiana or north of Indianapolis.
We're
anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of construction on the highway.
Yep.
For your convenience, come October, but not right now. So be cognizant of your roadways and your delays as well. Try not to be in a hurry and give yourself plenty of time to be here. So, on our last episode 201 of the Established Facts, we established that sometimes creativity opens the door, and sometimes creativity allows you to build your own. On episode 202 of the Established Facts, we have established that 49 years of collective experience, and we are still trying to get it right. So,
Amen.
Have a great GenCon. Thank you so much for listening to episode 202 of the Established Facts, and we will check you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Deuces.
On.
Please visit us at www.theestablishedfacts.com and our Facebook page, facebook.com/theestablishedfacts. If you would like to support us by buying some merchandise, visit cafepress.com/castingrobot.
Bonus.